This is a summary about Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Atomic Habits by James Clear explores the science of habit formation and how small, incremental changes, atomic habits, can lead to significant improvements in one's life over time. The book presents a comprehensive framework for understanding the process of habit formation, which involves cue, craving, response, and reward. Clear emphasizes the importance of building good habits and breaking bad ones through techniques such as the 2-minute rule, making habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, and using the aggregation of marginal gains. By focusing on these tiny habits, Clear argues that anyone can transform their life in meaningful ways without the need for radical change. The book also explores the concept of identity and how our beliefs shape our habits. Clear suggests that by focusing on who we want to become, we can develop habits that align with that identity. This involves changing our self-image to match our desired outcomes. The key to long-term success, according to Clear, is not only understanding the mechanics of habits, but also cultivating an environment that supports these changes. He introduces the 4 laws of behavior change: cue, craving, response, and reward, offering practical strategies to implement them in daily life. Atomic Habits provides a blueprint for making lasting changes in any area of life by prioritizing small, consistent actions that compound into significant results. Clear also addresses the importance of patience and consistency. He argues that lasting change is the result of continuous improvement over time, rather than quick fixes or drastic changes. The book is full of practical advice, including strategies for setting up your environment to naturally encourage good habits, how to avoid triggers for bad habits, and how to build momentum with tiny changes. By focusing on making slight atomic changes, Clear suggests that we can achieve remarkable outcomes. Atomic Habits is not just about achieving big goals. It's about becoming the type of person who is capable of achieving those goals, one small habit at a time. In Atomic Habits, James Clear also explores the role of feedback and measurement in habit formation. He emphasizes the importance of tracking progress to stay motivated and make adjustments. By monitoring your habits, you can gain insight into what works and what doesn't, allowing you to make informed changes. Clear introduces the concept of the reflection habit, where individuals regularly review their progress and reflect on their habits to identify areas for improvement. This habit of continuous learning and adaptation is crucial for long-term success. The book encourages readers to embrace a mindset of consistency over intensity, promoting the idea that the ultimate key to mastering habits is to cultivate the daily actions that compound into significant achievements.
Please like and subscribe. You can use the Amazon link in the description to purchase
The 5 Types of Wealth by Sahil Bloom. This book explores various forms of wealth beyond just financial, offering a comprehensive guide to achieving a balanced and fulfilling life. Introduction. Sahil Bloom's The 5 Types of Wealth is a thought-provoking book that redefines wealth beyond just financial success. Bloom presents a framework that categorizes wealth into 5 key areas: time wealth, social wealth, mental wealth, physical wealth, and financial wealth. He argues that true wealth is about achieving a balance between these 5 dimensions, leading to a fulfilling and meaningful life. This book serves as a guide to optimizing each type of wealth and making informed life choices that align with personal values. The book is structured around the idea that many people chase financial wealth at the expense of other types of wealth, only to realize later that money alone does not guarantee happiness or fulfillment. Bloom's insights help readers reassess their priorities and build a life that is rich in all aspects, not just in monetary terms. 1. Time wealth, the foundation of a fulfilled life. Time wealth is the ability to have control over how one spends their time. Bloom highlights that time is the most finite and valuable resource, yet it is often mismanaged. Many people trade their time for money without realizing that time cannot be regained. Key concepts. The importance of prioritization. Identify activities that bring joy and purpose versus those that drain energy. The concept of time arbitrage. Maximizing efficiency by outsourcing non-essential tasks to free up time for meaningful pursuits. Understanding opportunity cost. The trade-offs of spending time on one activity over another. The significance of energy management. Organizing the day based on high energy and low energy periods to maximize productivity and rest. Practical applications. Setting boundaries in work and personal life to create more free time. Using time tracking tools to analyze daily habits and eliminate time-wasting activities. Focusing on deep work to achieve more in less time. Making intentional choices about how to spend free time to enhance personal well-being. 2. Social wealth, the power of relationships and community. Social wealth is measured by the quality of relationships one has. Bloom emphasizes that strong personal and professional relationships contribute significantly to happiness and success. Key concepts. The value of relationship capital. How investing in meaningful connections can lead to personal and professional growth. The difference between transactional relationships and deep relationships. Building genuine, lasting bonds rather than surface-level interactions. The 5-to-1 ratio of positivity. For every negative interaction in a relationship, 5 positive interactions are needed to maintain balance. The importance of mentorship and peer networks, surrounding oneself with people who inspire and challenge growth. Practical applications. Actively cultivating friendships and professional relationships rather than waiting for them to develop naturally. Practicing active listening to build stronger connections. Performing small, meaningful gestures to show appreciation in relationships. Being intentional about eliminating toxic relationships that drain energy and positivity. 3. Mental wealth, cultivating a growth-oriented mindset. Mental wealth refers to an individual's intellectual and emotional resilience. Bloom argues that true success is not just about external achievements, but also about inner well-being. Key concepts. The growth mindset versus fixed mindset, embracing lifelong learning and adaptability. The importance of mental clarity, avoiding cognitive overload by filtering unnecessary distractions. Mindfulness and gratitude, developing daily practices that improve emotional intelligence and resilience. Failure as feedback, learning to view setbacks as opportunities for growth rather than defeats. Practical applications. Incorporating daily journaling or meditation to enhance mental clarity. Consuming high-quality information and reducing exposure to negativity. Practicing gratitude to shift focus toward abundance rather than scarcity. Using reflection techniques to turn challenges into learning experiences. 4. Physical wealth, the foundation for longevity and performance. Physical wealth pertains to health, fitness, and overall well-being. Bloom highlights that maintaining physical health is critical for sustaining other forms of wealth. Key concepts. The compounding effect of health. Small daily habits can lead to long-term health benefits or consequences. Sleep, nutrition, and exercise, the 3 pillars of physical wealth. Longevity versus short-term fitness, focusing on sustainable health practices rather than quick fixes. The mind-body connection. How physical well-being affects mental clarity and emotional stability. Practical applications. Establishing a consistent exercise routine tailored to individual needs. Prioritizing quality sleep to enhance cognitive function and energy levels. Eating whole, nutritious foods to fuel the body and prevent illness. Implementing stress management techniques such as yoga, breathing exercises, or leisure activities. 5. Financial wealth, redefining money and security. Financial wealth is what most people traditionally associate with wealth. However, Bloom redefines it as a tool for achieving security, freedom, and opportunity rather than a goal in itself. Key concepts. The difference between being rich and being wealthy. True financial wealth means having enough money to support the life one desires without being enslaved to earning more. Defining enough. Setting financial goals that align with personal values rather than societal expectations. Smart investing and financial literacy, understanding how to grow money while managing risks. The emotional side of money, recognizing and overcoming psychological barriers to financial success. Practical applications. Creating a financial plan based on individual goals and lifestyle preferences. Understanding the power of compound interest and investing early. Practicing mindful spending to avoid lifestyle inflation. Automating savings and investments to build wealth over time. In The Five Types of Wealth, Sahil Bloom presents a holistic framework that expands the traditional understanding of wealth beyond just financial success, emphasizing the need for balance in 5 interconnected domains: time wealth, social wealth, mental wealth, physical wealth, and financial wealth. Time wealth, which Bloom considers the most valuable and irreplaceable resource, is about the freedom to spend time on meaningful pursuits rather than being trapped in a cycle of obligations that do not align with personal fulfillment. By mastering time management, setting priorities, and focusing on deep work, individuals can maximize productivity while maintaining a sense of peace and purpose. Social wealth, defined by the strength and quality of relationships, underscores the immense impact of personal and professional networks on overall happiness, as meaningful human connections, whether through deep friendships, strong family bonds, or mentorship, contribute to emotional support, career growth, and life satisfaction. Bloom highlights the necessity of active relationship building through communication, gratitude, and eliminating toxic associations. Mental wealth pertains to cultivating a resilient, growth-oriented mindset that fosters continuous learning, adaptability, and emotional intelligence, as he argues that mental clarity and a capacity for reflection enable people to navigate life's challenges more effectively. Strategies such as mindfulness, gratitude, lifelong learning, and embracing failure as feedback can help individuals optimize their mental well-being and make better decisions. Physical wealth, often overlooked in discussions of success, is crucial for sustaining longevity and energy, as the quality of one's health directly impacts productivity, mental clarity, and emotional stability. Bloom stresses the importance of prioritizing exercise, nutrition, sleep, and stress management, recognizing that small, consistent habits lead to long-term health benefits. Lastly, financial wealth, the most commonly associated form of wealth, is redefined in Bloom's framework as a means rather than an end. True financial security comes not from amassing wealth endlessly, but from achieving a state where money provides freedom rather than stress. He introduces key financial principles such as defining enough, practicing mindful spending, avoiding lifestyle inflation, investing wisely, and understanding the emotional and psychological factors influencing financial behavior. The book's core philosophy revolves around achieving balance in all 5 areas rather than over-prioritizing one at the expense of others. As an individual who chases financial wealth at the cost of time, relationships, health, or peace of mind may ultimately find themselves unfulfilled despite material success. Bloom encourages readers to regularly assess their progress in each area, make adjustments, and adopt intentional habits that create a rich, meaningful life. By integrating personal anecdotes, practical strategies, and science-backed insights, The 5 Types of Wealth serves as a transformative guide for anyone seeking to redefine success and cultivate a life of purpose, well-being, and holistic prosperity. Conclusion: the interconnection of the 5 types of wealth. Bloom's overarching message is that no single type of wealth can exist in isolation. True wealth is achieved when all 5 areas are in balance. He encourages readers to conduct regular self-assessments to ensure they are not neglecting one type of wealth while over-prioritizing another. Key takeaways: time is the most valuable resource, use it wisely. Relationships are a crucial source of happiness and support. A strong mindset fuels resilience and continuous growth. Health is the foundation for all forms of wealth. Money should be a means to an enriched life, not the sole focus. By embracing the principles outlined in the 5 types of wealth, individuals can create a life filled with purpose, balance, and fulfillment. Bloom's framework provides a roadmap for redefining success beyond financial gain, ensuring a holistic approach to wealth and well-being.
Money, a Story of Humanity. A deep dive into David McWilliams' exploration of finance and civilization. Introduction. Money is more than just a medium of exchange. It is a fundamental driver of human progress, societal transformation, and economic evolution. In Money, a Story of Humanity, economist and writer David McWilliams takes readers on a compelling journey through the history of money, its impact on civilizations, and its role in shaping human behavior. This book is not just about economics, but about how money intertwines with human aspirations, power, and cultural shifts. McWilliams presents a panoramic view of financial history, demonstrating how money has served as both a tool for prosperity and a weapon of control. This expanded analysis delves deeply into the themes of the book, offering additional historical case studies, economic theories, and perspectives on contemporary financial challenges. It explores the origins of money, its role in shaping civilizations, and the future of finance in an increasingly digital world. Chapter 1. The Evolution of Money. From Barter to Digital Currency. One of the most engaging aspects of McWilliams' book is his ability to take readers through time, illustrating how money has evolved from primitive barter systems to today's digital economy. He argues that money has always been a reflection of societal needs and technological advancements. 1.1. Barter and the birth of currency. The earliest form of trade involved direct barter, where goods and services were exchanged without a standard measure of value. This system had significant inefficiencies, including the double coincidence of wants problem, which made trade cumbersome. To overcome these inefficiencies, societies gradually adopted commodity money, tangible items that held inherent value, such as cattle, grain, and precious metals. Historical records suggest that ancient Mesopotamian societies used grain as an early form of currency. Similarly, in Africa and Asia, cowrie shells served as a widely accepted form of money. These primitive monetary systems allowed for the first structured economies and laid the foundation for more sophisticated financial institutions. 1.2. The rise of coinage and paper money. As civilizations grew, metal coins became the dominant form of currency. McWilliams highlights the significance of Lydia, an ancient kingdom in modern-day Turkey, which minted the first standardized coins. These facilitated trade, taxation, and economic expansion. The Chinese, on the other hand, were pioneers of paper money. During the Tang and Song dynasties, merchants and governments used promissory notes, which eventually evolved into the first banknotes. Europe was slower to adopt paper currency, but by the Renaissance, banking institutions, such as the Medici Bank in Italy, had developed sophisticated credit and money lending systems. The introduction of fractional reserve banking laid the foundation for modern financial institutions. 1.3. The emergence of banking and credit. The rise of banking institutions played a crucial role in financial expansion. Banking families such as the Medicis and Rothschilds established early banking networks that facilitated trade across continents. The expansion of credit systems enabled economic growth, as merchants and governments could finance larger enterprises without needing physical gold reserves. McWilliams discusses how the Dutch pioneered financial instruments, such as bonds and stock markets in the 17th century, culminating in the foundation of the Amsterdam Stock Exchange. This marked the beginning of financial capitalism. 1.4. The Digital Revolution and Cryptocurrencies. The book concludes with the contemporary shift to digital transactions, from credit cards to cryptocurrencies. The emergence of Bitcoin and blockchain technology has sparked debates about the future of money. McWilliams examines whether decentralized finance, DeFi, represents a financial revolution or merely an evolution of historical monetary systems. Chapter 2. Money is a reflection of power in society. Beyond its economic function, money has always been intertwined with power. McWilliams emphasizes how money has been used as a tool for political control, social stratification, and even rebellion. 2.1. Money and empires. The Roman Empire's economy relied heavily on currency devaluation and taxation. McWilliams illustrates how financial mismanagement contributed to its decline, drawing parallels to modern economic crises. Similarly, colonial powers imposed monetary systems to control their territories, influencing global economic structures. 2.2. Wealth and inequality. The book does not shy away from discussing the darker side of money, its role in wealth concentration and social disparities. McWilliams explores how financial systems have historically favored elites while disenfranchising lower classes. He connects this to present-day debates on wealth inequality, the rise of billionaires, and the struggle for financial justice. 2.3. The role of money in revolutions. From the French Revolution to the Great Depression, McWilliams highlights moments in history where economic instability fuels social upheaval. He argues that financial inequality and monetary policy often act as catalysts for revolutionary change. Chapter 3. The psychological and cultural dimensions of money. McWilliams does not limit his discussion to economics and history. He also delves into the psychological and cultural significance of money. 3.1 Money and Human Behavior. The book examines how money influences decision-making, morality, and even personal identity. McWilliams references behavioral economics to explain phenomena such as loss aversion, consumerism, and the irrationality of financial bubbles. 3.2 Cultural Perspectives on Money. Different cultures view money in unique ways. McWilliams compares Western capitalism's emphasis on wealth accumulation with Eastern philosophies that promote financial harmony and balance. He also discusses religious perspectives on money, from Christianity's warnings about greed to Islam's principles of ethical finance. Chapter 4. The Future of Money, Emerging Trends and Challenges. As we move into an increasingly digital and interconnected world, Money, a Story of Humanity raises important questions about the future of money. Will cryptocurrencies replace traditional banking? How will artificial intelligence and automation impact financial systems? Can global financial structures be reformed to address economic inequality? 4.1. The Role of Artificial Intelligence in Finance. AI-driven financial technology is reshaping the industry, from algorithmic trading to personalized banking. McWilliams explores how machine learning and automation could lead to both increased efficiency and new ethical dilemmas in wealth management. 4.2 Financial Inclusion and Globalization. The book discusses the potential of digital banking and mobile payments to bridge economic gaps, particularly in developing nations. However, McWilliams also warns of new forms of economic exploitation and financial surveillance. 4.3 Climate Change and Sustainable Finance. One emerging theme is the intersection of money and environmental sustainability. McWilliams argues that financial institutions have a role in addressing climate change through investments in green energy and sustainable economic policies. Conclusion. Money. A Story of Humanity is a masterful exploration of finance through the lens of history, culture, and psychology. By tracing the evolution of money from ancient barter systems to the rise of digital currencies, McWilliams demonstrates that finance is not merely about numbers. It is about people, power, and progress. This expanded version provides an in-depth analysis of the book's themes, historical insights, and broader implications, reinforcing the idea that money is not just a tool for commerce, but a fundamental force in human history.
The Intelligent Investor. This book will not teach you how to beat the market. However, it will teach you how to reduce risk, protect your capital from loss, and reliably generate sustainable returns over the long run. Warren Buffett calls The Intelligent Investor by far the best book on investing ever written. Benjamin's proven value investing approach replaces risky attempts to project future share prices with sound investments based on the underlying value of the company's tangible assets. The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham gives you everything you need to equip yourself with the investor's mindset necessary to avoid the panic of market fluctuations that plague the ordinary investor. Don't be ordinary. Be intelligent. Top 20 Insights. 1. There are two kinds of investors. Defensive investors aim to protect their capital from losses, generate decent returns, and minimize frequent decisions. Enterprising investors devote most of their time to manage their portfolios actively. An enterprising investor does not take more risks than a defensive investor but invests more in stock selection. 2. Part-time investors should stick to defensive investment strategies. Defensive investors can achieve a decent result with minimum effort and capability. However, even a marginal improvement from this result is challenging and requires extraordinary knowledge and skill. An attempt to outsmart the market by spending a little extra time and effort will primarily result in below-average gains. 3. Confusing speculation with investment can be a costly mistake. Speculators buy hot stocks based on future growth prospects. In contrast, investment is made on a thorough analysis of the underlying business to ensure the safety of principal and adequate, but not extraordinary, gain. Invest in a stock only when you can comfortably own it without following its daily share price. 4. If you cannot resist the urge to bet on the next big growth stock, Set strict limits on speculation. Keep a separate speculative account with less than 10% of your capital for speculative activities. Never mix money from the investment account and speculation account. 5. It's a risky idea to speculate on high-growth industries, and high-growth stocks are a risky idea. The growth prospects for a business do not necessarily result in profits for investors. Because these stocks are often overpriced, growth may not result in proportional returns. Only 8 of the largest 150 companies on the Fortune 500 list managed to grow earnings by at least 15% over 2 decades. 6. Graham strongly urges investors to stay away from initial public offerings. IPOs often happen in bull markets and lead to inflated valuations. When the bear market begins, these overheated speculative stocks are the first to crash and cause severe losses. An investor who bought every IPO at its public closing price and held on for 3 years, from 1980 to 2001, would have underperformed the market by 23% annually. A sure way to predict the end of a bull market is when the stocks of new nondescript small businesses are priced higher than reputed medium-sized companies. The bull run of the 1980s saw over 4,000 stocks created. This led to the 1987 crash. IPOs dried up between 1988 to 1990, which led to the 90s bull market. During this time, over 5,000 new stocks were created, which led to the 2001 crash of the dot-com bubble. 7. It is dangerous for ordinary investors to time the market. Value investors instead identify and invest in large, conservatively financed companies whose present value as estimated by tangible assets is substantially below their current stock prices. There is no attempt to predict an uncertain future, and there is enough margin to absorb unfavorable developments. 8. Never buy any security far above its tangible asset value. Though outstanding companies are often worth several times their tangible asset value, the investor becomes too dependent on stock market fluctuations. In contrast, an investor who purchases stocks close to tangible asset value can ignore market fluctuations, confident that he has bought an interest in a sound business for a reasonable price. 9. Price and value are 2 different concepts. Think of Mr. Market as an irrational investor in a business you also invested in. He frequently changes his mind and quotes wildly different prices for your share. His behavior will hardly change your fundamental perception about the value of the business. However, you would gladly buy when his price is far lower than the business value and sell when his price is far higher than the business value. 10. The start of a bear market is good news for intelligent investors. They recognize that stocks become riskier as their prices rise and less risky as their prices crash. A bear market is a considerably safer time to buy stocks close to their asset value and build sustainable wealth. 11. A defensive investor's portfolio must have 50% in high-grade bonds and 50% in common stocks irrespective of market conditions. Doing so will prevent them from buying excess shares in a bull market and rushing into bonds in the bear market. Once they set up their portfolio, the defensive investor checks every 6 months to rebalance it if market change alters this ratio by over 5%. 12. Enterprising investors' confidence in their professional analysis may reduce their stock component to 25% when the markets are dangerously high and raise their stock component to 75% at the bottom of a bear market. However, a minimum of 25% in bonds is essential as it will give investors the cushion to hold on to stocks even through the worst bear markets. 13. Purchase only tax-free municipal bonds unless you fall in the lowest tax bracket. Choose bonds that mature in 5 to 10 years as they remain relatively stable with interest rate fluctuations. Bond funds are an excellent choice for individual investors as they offer cheap and easy diversification to minimize risk. 14. Both Graham and Warren Buffett recommend index funds as the best long-term bet for defensive investors. Index funds own a cross-section of the entire market without any stock selection. While they may be unglamorous and show steady returns compared to more aggressive funds, index funds have low risk and have historically outperformed most mutual funds over 20-year periods. 15. If you enjoy stock selection, make the index fund the foundation of your portfolio and experiment with around 10% of funds. Buy only stocks priced below 22.5 times the average 12-month earnings. The stock price must not be higher than 1.5 times the book value. If the book value multiplier is low, the earnings multiplier can be higher. But the product of the multiplier of earnings and multiplier of book value should not exceed 22.5. 16. Do not be swayed by home bias. Familiarity often prevents investors from doing the required due diligence before picking a stock. Many average investors make the mistake of buying familiar stocks or stocks of their own companies. On average, 401k investors keep between 25% to 30% of their retirement assets in their company's stock. 17. Graham insists on using a multi-year average of past returns to calculate price/earnings ratio. Consider a company that earned 50 cents per share over 6 years but earned $3 over the last 12 months. At 25 times the P/E ratio based on the last year, the stock would be valued at $75. In contrast, valued at 25 times the average earnings over the past 7 years, the stock would be valued at just $21.43. 18. Prevention of losses takes priority over improving gains. Assume an investor buys a stock at the peak of a bull market that can generate 5% above average market returns. The bull market ends, and the stock drops by 50% the following year. Even if the stock gains 10% every year, it will take beyond 16 years to overtake market returns. 19. The margin of safety is essential to insure against loss and improve upside potential. The stock price must be substantially lower than its underlying tangible asset value. In 1973, Warren Buffett invested in the Washington Post when it was priced at $83 million, and its assets were worth at least $400 million. The investment had both a substantial margin of safety and massive growth potential. 20. Graham designed his approach to craft a reliable portfolio that requires minimum maintenance and offers maximum odds of a steady return. By sticking to a formula for investment decisions, the defensive investor gives up the risk of speculating on stock movements and gains steady returns. After the initial curation, if the investor trades more than twice a year, it is a clear sign something has gone wrong. Summary: price and value are two different concepts, and stock prices frequently don't reflect a company's actual value. More risk does not necessarily correlate with more gain. On the contrary, a substantial margin of safety and the difference between stock price and fundamental asset value can protect against loss while improving potential upside. Value investing can help you create a core portfolio that frees you from the need to track market prices and guarantee maximum odds of a steady return. Graham's value investing approach is a reliable, risk-free path to protecting one's investments and generating decent stock market returns. It replaces risky speculation on future stock prices with a systematic way to de-risk investments and build wealth. The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham is a timeless guide to value investing, emphasizing rational decision-making, risk management, and long-term financial success. Graham distinguishes between investing and speculation, urging investors to focus on a margin of safety, buying stocks below their intrinsic value to minimize risk. He introduces the concept of Mr. Market, a metaphor for stock market fluctuations, teaching investors to remain disciplined and avoid emotional reactions. The book outlines two main investment strategies: the defensive investor, who seeks stable returns through diversified blue-chip stocks and bonds, and the enterprising investor, who actively researches undervalued companies for higher returns. Graham warns against speculation, market hype, and overpaying for stocks, advocating instead for careful analysis of financial statements, company management, and stock valuation metrics like P/E and P/B ratios. He stresses that long-term success comes from patience, discipline, and an unwavering focus on fundamental value rather than short-term market trends. His principles continue to influence modern investors, including Warren Buffett, making The Intelligent Investor one of the most essential books on investing.
How Successful People Think. Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life by John C. Maxwell. Introduction. Success isn't just about talent, resources, or opportunities. It's about how you think. In How Successful People Think, John C. Maxwell explores the power of thought and how mastering different thinking styles can unlock personal and professional success. Maxwell argues that successful people think differently from others. They don't just react to situations, they proactively shape their thoughts to influence their future. The book introduces 11 essential thinking styles that can help anyone become more effective, creative, and strategic. This summary will break down each of these thinking styles, offering practical applications and insights. By the end, you'll understand how changing your thinking can change your life. Big picture thinking. Big picture thinkers don't get lost in small details. They see the larger vision. They focus on opportunities rather than limitations and consider how their actions fit into a broader context. How to apply it. Expand your vision by exposing yourself to diverse ideas, industries, and perspectives. Seek advice from mentors who have a broader perspective. Instead of fixating on immediate obstacles, ask yourself, how does this fit into my long-term goals? Example, Elon Musk embodies big picture thinking. His vision for Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink goes beyond short-term profits. He aims to revolutionize industries and even human life itself. Focused thinking distractions are everywhere, but successful people master focused thinking to deepen their understanding and execution. How to apply it. Prioritize your top goals and ignore distractions. Set time blocks for deep work without interruptions. Avoid multitasking. Focus on one task at a time for better results. Example, Warren Buffett follows a 5-25 rule. Write down 25 goals, choose the top 5, and avoid the rest. This disciplined focus has helped him achieve long-term success. Creative thinking. Creativity isn't just for artists. Successful people use it to solve problems, innovate, and see opportunities others miss. How to apply it. Challenge assumptions. Ask what if. Surround yourself with creative thinkers. Expose yourself to new experiences that spark fresh ideas. Example, Steve Jobs revolutionized the tech industry by blending design, technology, and user experience in ways no one had imagined before. Realistic thinking. Optimism is important, but realistic thinking ensures success by preparing for potential challenges. How to apply it. Evaluate risks before making decisions. Learn from past mistakes and plan accordingly. Use data and facts rather than relying solely on emotions. Example, successful business leaders like Jeff Bezos consider worst-case scenarios before launching new initiatives. This allows Amazon to navigate market uncertainties with a clear strategy. Strategic thinking. Strategic thinkers don't just react to situations. They plan ahead and make decisions that align with long-term success. How to apply it. Think 2 steps ahead. Anticipate challenges and opportunities. Break down big goals into actionable steps. Regularly review and adjust your strategies. Example, chess grandmasters think several moves ahead, just like successful CEOs who anticipate market trends before they happen. Possibility thinking. Rather than seeing limits, possibility thinkers ask, how can I make this work? They believe in solutions, not just problems. How to apply it. Train yourself to see opportunities in every challenge. Surround yourself with positive, solution-oriented people. When facing a setback, ask, what lesson can I learn from this? Example, Thomas Edison's famous response to his 1,000 failed attempts at inventing the light bulb, I have not failed. I've just found 1,000 ways that won't work. Reflective thinking. Reflection allows you to learn from past experiences, making future decisions more effective. How to apply it. Set aside time daily or weekly to reflect on lessons learned. Keep a journal to track insights and growth. Ask yourself, what worked? What didn't? How can I improve? Example, Bill Gates regularly reflects on past mistakes, helping Microsoft evolve and stay ahead of the competition. Questioning popular thinking. Just because everyone does something doesn't mean it's the best way. Successful people challenge the status quo. How to apply it. Don't follow trends blindly. Analyze them critically. Dare to take a different path if it aligns with your goals. Ask, is this the best way or just the most common way? Example, Netflix disrupted the entertainment industry by challenging traditional cable TV, creating a new model for digital streaming. Shared thinking. Great ideas often come from collaboration. Successful people surround themselves with other smart, capable thinkers. How to apply it. Seek out mentors, advisors, and peers who challenge you. Be open to feedback and different perspectives. Engage in brainstorming sessions to spark new ideas. Example: Google thrives on shared thinking. Teams collaborate to innovate and improve products like Google Search, YouTube, and Android. Unselfish thinking. The most successful people think beyond themselves. They create value for others, which ultimately benefits them in return. How to apply it? Focus on serving others, customers, employees, or your community. Look for ways to contribute without expecting immediate rewards. Build a reputation for generosity and integrity. Example: Oprah Winfrey's philanthropic efforts have strengthened her personal brand and deepened her audience's loyalty. Bottom line thinking. At the end of the day, results matter. Bottom line thinkers focus on effectiveness and impact. How to apply it? Measure your progress, what's working and what's not. Make decisions based on long-term benefits, not just short-term gains. Align your actions with your goals and desired outcomes. Example: Apple's relentless focus on product quality and user experience has led to billions in sales and a devoted customer base. Conclusion: change your thinking, change your life. Thinking isn't just a passive activity, it shapes your entire life. By cultivating different thinking styles, you can check improved decision-making, overcome challenges with creativity, achieve long-term success. Final thoughts. Success isn't just about working harder, it's about thinking smarter. Start applying these 11 thinking styles today, and you'll see a transformation in your personal and professional life. Which thinking style resonates with you the most? Let us know in the comments. If you found this video valuable, hit the like button, subscribe for more success insights, and share this video with someone who needs to hear this today. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Comprehensive Summary Introduction. Kristen Hanna's The Nightingale is a historical fiction novel set in Nazi-occupied France during World War II. It follows the lives of two sisters, Vianne Mauriac and Isabelle Rossignol, as they navigate the hardships of war, resistance, and survival. The novel explores themes of love, sacrifice, resilience, and the often overlooked role of women in wartime. The story is framed by a present-day narrative, where an elderly woman recounts her experiences during the war, ultimately revealing which sister has survived. The novel is inspired by real-life accounts of female resistance fighters, most notably Andrée de Jong, a Belgian woman who helped downed Allied pilots escape Nazi-occupied territory. Through the distinct yet intertwined experiences of Vianne and Isabelle, The Nightingale provides an emotionally rich exploration of courage and endurance. Plot summary. Part 1. Prelude to War. The novel opens in 1995, where an elderly woman living in Oregon prepares to return to France for a commemoration. As she sorts through old belongings, she finds a trunk filled with wartime mementos, leading to a journey into the past. The identity of this woman remains ambiguous, heightening the novel's suspense. The narrative shifts to 1939, just before the German invasion of France. The Rossignol sisters have been estranged for years. Vianne Mauriac, the elder sister, lives in Carriveau, a small town in France, with her husband Antoine and their daughter Sophie. She is a cautious woman who clings to her family life, hoping to remain unaffected by political turmoil. Isabelle, younger and rebellious, has been expelled from multiple boarding schools. Having felt abandoned by her sister and father since their mother's death, she longs to prove her worth. As war approaches, Antoine is drafted into the French army, leaving Vianne to manage their home. Meanwhile, Isabelle, living in Paris with their father Julien, refuses to be passive in the face of Nazi occupation. When Paris falls, Julien urges Isabelle to flee to the countryside, sending her to Vianne's home in Carriveau. However, Isabelle is determined to contribute to the war effort and is discontent with Vianne's passive attitude. Part 2. The German Occupation. France quickly falls to the Germans, and life under occupation begins. A Nazi officer, Captain Wolfgang Beck, is billeted in Vianne's home, forcing her to endure his presence while trying to protect Sophie. Despite his polite demeanor, Vian understands the danger of harboring an enemy soldier. Meanwhile, Isabelle becomes involved with the French resistance. She meets Gaëtan, a passionate young man who introduces her to the cause. Isabelle is determined to make a difference, and under the codename the Nightingale, she begins working to help downed Allied pilots escape to Spain via the Pyrenees. Her journey is treacherous, and she narrowly escapes death multiple times. Over time, she gains notoriety among the Nazis, making her a high-priority target. Vian, initially hesitant to resist, is forced into action when her Jewish best friend, Rachel, is targeted. She helps Rachel's daughter, Ari, by claiming him as her own, preventing him from being deported. This marks Viana's transition from passive survivor to quiet resistor. She also begins forging identity papers for Jewish children, placing her in grave danger. Part 3. The Height of the War. As the war intensifies, Isabelle's missions become increasingly dangerous. She operates a network that smuggles pilots across Nazi territory, saving countless lives. However, her activities come at great personal risk. She is eventually captured after being betrayed by a double agent. She is tortured but refuses to reveal names, showcasing her unwavering courage and resilience. She is ultimately sent to Ravensbrück, a notorious concentration camp, where she endures starvation, brutality, and disease. Despite her suffering, she holds on to hope and continues to resist in any way she can. Vian, in the meantime, faces new horrors. Captain Beck is replaced by a cruel Nazi, von Richter, who abuses his power, subjecting Vian to sexual violence. She becomes pregnant as a result, but hides the truth to protect herself and Sophie. As the war drags on, she becomes instrumental in hiding Jewish children and helping the resistance in small but crucial ways, all while maintaining the facade of submission. The sisters remain unaware of each other's struggles, both believing the other to be safe. Their separate journeys highlight the varied experiences of women during the war, one in active rebellion, the other in quiet defiance. Part 4. Liberation and Aftermath. As the Allies advance, Isabelle is finally liberated, but is too weak to fully recover. The physical and emotional toll of war has left her fragile. She returns to France, where she reunites with Vian, who has survived but remains deeply scarred by her experiences. Isabelle, though celebrated for her heroism, succumbs to illness and dies shortly after, having lived a life of sacrifice and bravery. Vian rebuilds her life, raising her children and honoring her sister's legacy. She later discovers that their father, Julian, had been aiding the resistance and sacrificed himself to protect Isabelle. The novel concludes with the revelation that the elderly woman in the present-day timeline is Vian, who has returned to France to pay tribute to her sister's heroism. Themes and analysis. The strength of women. Both sisters embody different aspects of female resilience, one as a bold resistor and the other as a quiet protector. Their contrasting approaches highlight the various ways in which women contributed to wartime efforts. Sacrifice and courage. Isabelle sacrifices her life for her country, while Vian risks everything to protect children and resist in her own way. Their different paths show that heroism comes in many forms. Love and family. The strained relationship between the sisters evolves into mutual understanding and deep love, emphasizing the importance of familial bonds in times of crisis. The impact of war. The novel highlights the psychological and physical toll of war, particularly on civilians and women. It emphasizes the devastating impact of occupation, the loss of innocence, and the moral dilemmas faced in times of oppression. Resistance versus compliance. Isabelle's active resistance contrasts sharply with Vian's initial passivity. However, the novel illustrates that even quiet defiance can be powerful and essential. Conclusion. The Nightingale is a powerful novel that sheds light on the often overlooked role of women in World War II. Through the journeys of Vian and Isabelle, Kristen Hanna presents a deeply moving story of resilience, heroism, and the enduring power of love. The novel's emotional depth, historical richness, and compelling characters make it a timeless tribute to those who fought, suffered, and survived during one of history's darkest periods. The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel explores the behavioral aspects of financial decisions, emphasizing that financial success is more about how you behave with money than how much you know. The book highlights the importance of understanding emotions like greed and fear, the value of patience, and the power of compounding. Husserl argues that wealth is defined by what you save, not what you spend, and true financial freedom comes from controlling your time and avoiding unnecessary comparisons. He advocates for humility, long-term thinking, and preparing for the unexpected to achieve lasting financial peace and happiness. Husserl also stresses the importance of recognizing the role of luck and risk in financial outcomes and advises against seeking more endlessly, as it often leads to dissatisfaction. He encourages readers to save consistently, live within their means, and define their personal concept of enough. By focusing on behaviors and habits rather than chasing formulas or trends, the book provides timeless lessons on building a healthy and sustainable relationship with money. Ultimately, it's not just about making money, but understanding how to use it to create a meaningful and fulfilling life. Husserl emphasizes that every individual's relationship with money is shaped by their unique experiences, upbringing, and cultural background. This makes financial decisions deeply personal and subjective, rather than universally logical. The book encourages embracing the unpredictability of life by building a margin of safety into financial plans and preparing for rare, life-altering events. By avoiding impulsive reactions during market highs and lows and focusing on long-term goals, readers can achieve financial stability and peace of mind. Ultimately, the psychology of money teaches that mastering money isn't about formulas or technical skills. It's about understanding yourself and aligning your financial behaviors with your values. For more content, please like and subscribe. Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. Book Summary. Two Systems of Thinking. Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Prize winner in economics, presents a groundbreaking exploration of the two systems that drive how we think. System 1. Fast, intuitive, automatic, emotional, and operates with little effort. System 2. Slow, deliberate, analytical, requires concentration and mental effort. These two systems shape our judgments and decisions in profound ways, often leading to systematic errors and biases. Two systems. System 1 characteristics. Operates automatically and quickly, requires little or no effort. Generates impressions, feelings, and intuitions. Handles routine decisions and recognizes patterns. System 2 characteristics. Allocates attention to mental activities that demand effort, associated with subjective experience of agency, choice, and concentration. Monitors and controls behaviors suggested by System 1. Often lazy and defaults to System 1 when possible. Cognitive ease. When System 1 operates smoothly, we experience a state of cognitive ease. This makes us more intuitive, creative, but less vigilant and more prone to errors. Cognitive strain. When System 2 is engaged, we experience cognitive strain, making us more vigilant but less intuitive and creative. Part 2. Heuristics and biases. Anchoring effect, the tendency to be influenced by irrelevant numbers encountered previously. Availability heuristic, judging frequency based on how easily examples come to mind. Substitution, answering an easier question when faced with a difficult one without realizing it. Law of small numbers, overestimating the significance of small samples. Representativeness, judging probability by the degree to which A resembles B, neglecting base rates. Regression to the mean, failing to account for natural statistical regression when evaluating cause and effect. Overconfidence planning fallacy, underestimating time, costs, and risks while overestimating benefits. Optimism bias, the tendency to be overly optimistic about outcomes. Hindsight bias, the tendency to see events as more predictable than they were before they took place. Illusion of validity, maintaining confidence in our judgments despite evidence of our poor accuracy. Expert intuition, only reliable in environments with sufficient regularity and opportunity for learning. Part 4. Choices. Prospect theory. People evaluate outcomes relative to reference points, not absolute states. Loss aversion, Losses hurt approximately twice as much as equivalent gains feel good. Endowment effect, valuing what we own more than what we don't. Framing effects, how a situation is presented significantly impacts our decisions. Sunk cost fallacy, continuing investment in something because of what's already been invested. Part 5. Two selves experiencing self versus remembering self. Experiencing self lives in the moment. Remembering self keeps score and makes decisions. Peak and rule. We judge experiences based primarily on how they felt at their peak and at their end, not the average or sum of every moment. Duration neglect, minimal impact of duration on evaluations of experiences. Practical implications for decision-making. Recognize situations where errors are likely. Slow down and engage. System 2 in important decisions. Create checklists for recurring decisions. Get outside perspectives to challenge intuitions. For happiness, distinguish between experiencing happiness and remembered happiness. Don't underestimate the impact of attention on well-being. Focus on activities rather than acquisitions. For organizations, create processes that check for biases. Use reference class forecasting for projects. Design environments that improve decision quality. Conclusion: Kahneman's work demonstrates that human rationality is limited and predictably flawed. By understanding these limitations, we can design better policies, make better personal decisions, and potentially improve our thinking. However, merely knowing about biases doesn't automatically improve our thinking. We need systematic approaches to overcome them. The book doesn't advocate for dismissing intuition entirely, but rather for developing a richer vocabulary about cognition and a more nuanced understanding of when to trust intuition versus when to invest in slower, more deliberate thinking.